My guess is that and because I hear those same things in my office, but I usually hear that from guys that are within the first year of recovery.
Yeah, right. Really.
you know. And what I usually say is, look, starting off, we got to lean heavily into sort of supporting your partner, doing their healing, sort of recognizing their trauma. There's going to be dynamics in your coupleship. If we can talk about them, great, but don't count on it. Once we get, once they get more established as the addict in their sobriety, leaning into recovery, they're starting to live their life and sort of approach their relationships in a different way. And then we can start stepping into the relationship stuff. And the partner may not like that. The partner might have gotten very comfortable with, I get to be angry and I get to sort of say what I want, and you just do what I say, and you don't push back and try to negotiate with me. And sometimes there's having to be a reestablishing of balance and partnership in that relationship that can be difficult on the addict side. It can also be difficult on the partner side, but that is not work to be done like right off the bat. Usually, I would say not within the first year or so.
And and we talk about timing. There's a couple things I was thinking as you said that, Tim. I've also seen this play out not just in the first year, but it's the attitude, right? If it's, well, what about me and my needs? I mean, I can see that playing out. It doesn't just stop over time. It just keeps, I don't know for you guys, but it keeps going and going and going because who's who's the focus at that point? It's the addict saying, what about me? What about me? When the betrayed partner is saying, I need you to understand and really get the impact of what you've done and this the actions. And I feel like it's not until the partner gets that the addict gets it, that's when things start to shift a bit. But if the addict's like, yeah, I know I betrayed you, I did this, but there's these other things, and what about me? I mean, I just feel like that dance goes on for so long, and the partner starts to like continues to feel you don't really get it, you don't really, you haven't. I don't see your full um the weight of that you really understand it and that you're invested in me and my healing and my grief and pain and trauma and this.
I like Dan when you like me and my needs. I think that's really important because if the addict is taking that kind of persona, like what about me and my needs, then just like you said, they're sort of missing the boat on leaning in to be with someone who's in deep pain of the betrayal. And therefore, trust isn't being built. So we've got to look at the psychological sort of priority triage list here of leaning into doing that work. But if you keep it's about me and my needs, it could be the first year, it could be the second, third, fourth, fifth year. The betrayed partner will not have a sense that this person sees and understands and builds trust. And now I can be there and hear what they have to say too. And so
And that was
I think
sorry,
people
go ahead,
do
Wendy.
themselves a
Yeah.
disservice when they
And
walk in with, well, what about my needs?
Right.
well, it's an interesting dynamic, right? Because if you take a couple and sex has not been happening in the relationship, so I think the addict can say this wasn't happening, and so I got upset, and so I went outside the marriage. So I have a need to be sexual. And it's like, wait a minute, can we just put a pause on this for a minute? Isn't it a lot more complicated and a lot more nuanced than that? So aren't there so many more questions? Like, well, um, have the two of you talked about what you think about sex and what sex is for and how your first sexual experiences went and were they good sexual experiences or not? If they weren't, then are we talking about a redo for those very first, very highly sensitive, emotionally charged experiences where, oh my gosh, so those experiences can go really wrong. So what are we talking about there? Because I think when a sex addict says there's not enough sex, it's a lot more complicated than just that.